Video 2 in the fibromyalgia series has to do with overcoming frustration or coping on particularly bad days. As I film this video today, I am in excruciating pain. I don't say this for sympathy, but I say this because I hope to give us hope that on these days that are particularly difficult, we can cope and go forward together, find a way to cope on these difficult days and continue to improve. It's now year 2016. One day there will be markers established for the syndrome, and it will be referred to as a disease. Nothing could be this debilitating and painful, yet not be called a disease. It's not worth anger in this vein, as the medical profession is doing the best that it can. I do believe that. However, the symptoms are real. Let's get over that discussion and recognize that everything inside, internal, our physical body is now going on. Currently, there are different medications that are used and options within the medical community. These include antidepressants, anti-seizure medications, which do provide some relief based on trial studies, and more currently, medicinal marijuana. I'd like to focus on survival in these days that are particularly bad, and we'll come back to some of the alternatives for feeling well in the future. Strategies for survival. First off, we have to come to terms with the fact that you are sick and unwell at this point in time. Accept that your life has changed and that you may be unable to do the things that you once did for now. However, it's important to have hope. You will return to doing some of these things and lots of these things in some capacity. You may not be able to do them the same way as before, but in a better way. For example, I have stopped skating, bicycling, and horseback riding since I cannot sustain another injury and feel well. But after a year and a half, I have resumed tennis. I do so with senior groups in a slower game of tennis, but with more accuracy. I can also increase the level of fitness as needed. These are on my good days, and these are not on days where I feel particularly ill. It will be necessary to support yourself on the days that you feel unwell, and you will have to take these as slow days and make the changes that you need to support yourself as your own best friend. What makes the symptoms worse? It's important to come to terms with, early on in this process, what makes the symptoms worse. This may take you 6 months. For me, it took me a great period of time and some journaling to follow the trend in that eating unwell makes me sicker and exacerbates my symptoms. That means any and all greasy foods, dairy, possibly wheat, sugar for certain, will worsen my condition. It's important to keep the food journals and foods as whole as possible. In the interim, you are doing the best you can. If you spent 6 months just trying to uncover what makes you worse, this is standard. It has taken me 6 months of self-study to understand what makes things worse and better, in my disbelief knowing what I know about nutrition. Lastly, I'm sure stress is a negative contributing factor for all of us, so do whatever you can to eliminate your own self-stress and make the changes that you can to simplify your life to benefit you as you go through your progression and healing. You will have to make changes for your well-being. It's necessary to make changes in your life, and this illness is now forcing us as we choose to continue in healing. By virtue of the fact that you're watching this video, you've made the same choice that I've made, and that you wish, want, and will do everything possible in your power and control to facilitate your healing. For sure you will get better. Who knows how much better, but we'll continue on this path together. You will need to support yourself, invest any time that you have in your health. Shave off some of the things that you did previously and realize that all the time you have should go into yourself. This means researching things on the websites, reputable websites from people that have recovered or are doing better than they were, focusing on whole foods and preparation, simplifying that, looking at the supplements that do work, and consider meditation. Meditation does work at the time on the particularly bad days and will help you cope and get through the symptoms on these very tough days. Do not follow any standardized ideas of what will work. Any movement is good, and since movement is one of the primary considerations that are given, many of the practitioners that will diagnose this. Movement may only be possible on the days that you feel reasonably well or can push through. Do not beat yourself up on the days where you cannot push through, are sedentary, or are lying with extreme fatigue. Today is one of those days for me, and it's extremely difficult to film the video. However, this was my contribution that will make to all of us in our improvement to get better. It may be beneficial to keep a journal. A food journal is one option you should consider strongly, since food sensitivities seem to be on the list of contributing factors. The second journal may be dedicated to writing down some of your emotions. Release of some of your emotions on this day, whether through expression of writing, speaking to a friend, or crying, might be beneficial. Since this is a long-standing recovery and long-standing syndrome, I'd suggest that you obtain a hard copy journal, since you cannot have enough resources to hear your thoughts. Lastly, other resources that we've talked about in the past that you should seek are help from an experienced physiatrist who specialize in fibromyalgia and have some past expertise, a naturopath, and also individuals on different websites that have improved or continue to recover in a positive manner.